Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish, host COS Today. Welcome to COS Today, along with Ken Kashuba. Ken, that intro worked out very well, didn't it?
I'm glad to see you handled it very well.
Oh, guys, we've been playing. There's always some sort of technical challenge facing us. It seems like all the time. So
if it's not a challenge, it's a tweak that Dale wants to make, one or the other.
Oh, blame it on me. Blame it on me. Yes, I
was giving you credit for handling it. I mean, at this point, that's why they call you the host.
Well, you figured it out. It was your suggestion. So
well, I'll take credit for it then.
Okay. Well, folks, here we are, COS Today, which is saving the country with convention of states. That's our main purpose here. So we always just like to state that and get that right out front there. So thank you for joining us this evening. Let's bring Maringo Mike on, Ken, and give everyone a quick reminder here. Okay.
That's good.
And as soon as I find him, I'll bring him right on. Here we go.
Program, please be sure and hit the like and subscribe buttons along with the notifications bell so you'll always know when we go live. We appreciate your support and hope you'll join us on our mission to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Now, back to the program.
All right. Okay. Maringo Mike. He's always there for us.
Yep.
Yep. Well,
button.
What's that?
I said when you can find the button. That's okay.
When I can find the button. That's right. Let's get ready to jump into our first segment here tonight, which is the segment we call the In Focus segment. And Ken, we've had a lot of luck with this segment, I think. Some very interesting segments. This is where we bring on 2 or 3 guests, and we all talk about what's caught our attention in the news here in the past week or so. So what's of interest to us? In other words, what has our focus? So let's start. Let's get right into it here, and let's bring on our guests for this evening. And we'll bring on, first of all, Mr. Gary Harbaugh. Got his hat on. He's all ready to go. Got you muted, Gary. So be sure to unmute yourself.
Okay, here I am.
There you are. All right.
Ready to talk.
There you go.
And Debbie Stewart. Debbie, you're muted as well. I muted everyone before we started the program. So
it's a power grab thing. Go ahead.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Glasses, the power grab.
Speaking of power grabs, there's David Punt from Minnesota. And you're muted as well, David. So once you figure out how to unmute yourself, where hopefully you'll be joining us.
We'll do it for him. We'll do it for him.
I got to do it myself.
There you go. There you got it.
I've got to do it myself. My goodness.
Yeah.
I've been muted for most of my life. One wife for the other.
Well, folks, let's talk about what's got our interest here. Debbie, you want to lead us off?
Sure. Yeah. So I was just noticing, and I'm a little late on this because this was like a week ago, but let's see, I'm looking for here it is. So in Lebanon, the bombing that's been going on, Lebanon has been catching some of that from Hezbollah and between Israel and Hezbollah. And so because of that, a lot of the people in South Lebanon and South Beirut have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Displaced. They've been displaced to go to the northern part of Lebanon. But something interesting happened. This was a week ago that had never happened before. So they had an emergency cabinet meeting a week ago today, and the government declared that Hezbollah's military activities were illegal and therefore banned. So their military is instructed to confiscate the organization's weapons, which they have never confronted them directly before, not even when Hezbollah was formed or following the 1982 Israeli invasion, not after the TAIF agreement, which ended that war. So this is a big deal. It's never happened before, and they are taking a stand against Hezbollah. And I think that's part of Trump's plans too in Gaza was to demilitarize, get rid of their weapons. So they had been hanging on to those weapons for a while because for a while Israel had part of southern Lebanon and occupied part of that. But now that's not the case. So I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen now that they are going to declare their weapons illegal and attempt to take them away. So that was just something kind of on the side that I didn't hear anybody talking about, but it's probably an important thing, especially for Lebanon. I mean, they're used to being in the middle of everything.
Now I had not. I knew Lebanon versus Hezbollah that there was a difference there. There was they don't support Hezbollah, but I wasn't aware that they were instructing their military to go after Hezbollah. And there was a 2024 ceasefire agreement with Israel a while back where Hezbollah would be disarmed. But then it ended up being only in the south, and that kind of fell apart and wasn't really taken out from there. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a week later now, so I haven't checked up on that to see. But normally Lebanon is used to this, but they don't typically get very involved in that way. Mm-hmm. So, that's really all I had. Yeah. All right. Very good. Very good.
I just looked quickly at the Christian Science Monitor. And this is from an article from, it doesn't say what day it's. Oh no, never mind. It's from last year. Never mind.
That's the problem. Is I find a good article and then I'm like, wait, how long ago was that?
Yeah, how long ago was this? I have a friend in Israel, a journalist friend, and I've never met her. We've become acquainted on Substack. And we're exchanging messages back and forth. She lives in amongst the falling bombs and all the rest of that. Her husband and 3 kids are over there. And wow. I'm going to ask her what she's heard about Lebanon stepping in and stepping up to Hezbollah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it seems really tough to get rid of Hamas's weapons. It shouldn't be that much tougher to get rid of Hezbollah's weapons if the government is really in charge. Right. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Well, of course, it remains to be seen how much influence Iran's going to have over these two organizations as time goes on here. Hopefully that influence is going to go away, I would hope, but we'll see. We'll see. Mm-hmm. So, David, what's on your mind?
Well,
I know there's a lot on your mind, but if you can find something there.
Which part of my mind is there something on? The big thing that's got me ticked off, and I live here in the land of frozen fruits and nuts, otherwise known as Minnesota, and it's California light, and I know that, and it's all the influences down around the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and they've got the state dominated. Right now, the legislature, there are 34 Democrats and 32 Republicans. In the House, 67 Democrats, 67 Republicans. So they have something called a power sharing. So all the committees have 2 chair people. I mean, it's nuts. It's just crazy. It's just
no problem there. No problem.
No, not at all. Not at all. But most recently, the thing that's gotten me excited besides all of that is will Governor Timmy and his cohort Keith Ellison get their very own handcuffs, and soon. And I think the more I hear, the more I read, the more it looks like they're going to go off to Tahiti together and spend the rest of their days. And just kind of enjoy life and sitting on the beach somewhere. There's a guy by the name of Walter Hudson, who is a state representative from, I think it's one of the inner city districts down in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And he's developed a podcast that he goes through, and he's a representative. He's actually in the fight. He's actually in the middle of all this stuff. And he goes through and explains what's going on step by step, blow by blow. And the Senate accepted a bill recently to elect or appoint an independent judge or a counselor, an independent agent to look into fraud. And the House assigned it to a committee, one of the committees that Walter is on. And what the committee did is, with this power sharing thing, one of their Democrats moved that all the information in that bill be erased and replaced by this bunch of stuff. Of course, this bunch of stuff doesn't include the word independent. And neither one of them passed. Now, I talked to my representative, and he's on that committee too, and he said they're blaming us for it because we voted against their bill. I mean, it's at one time I wanted to be a part of them. I wanted to be in amongst them.
You ran for office, didn't you?
I did way back in my young and stupid days, and I haven't gotten any smarter because I still think, am I too old? Yeah, I'm too old.
Yeah,
but that's what's got me ticked off now, because I think it doesn't make any difference how many billions of dollars that these people have stolen, and Timmy Waltz has allowed them to do it and is making it easier and easier for them to do it. But he's got help, and it's just not pleasant. I'm not saying all these people are on the take. I'm saying all these people don't want to be blamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're going to do.
I don't know if Waltz or the Attorney General, I don't know if they were corrupt, but they at minimum would be cited for poor administration. I mean, at minimum that. But I certainly think that there's got to be fraud involved here. Doesn't our vice president, isn't he the fraud czar?
I think so. Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to let this slide like that.
No. Good question. Governor Jazz Hands admitted to the House Oversight Committee that he first noticed fraud in 2018 when he took office.
Is that right? Yeah.
And it had already been going on before that.
Wow.
So no wonder I'm poor, it's very maddening. And I don't know that he's on the take. I don't know if he's got his fingers in the jar. I don't think so. I don't think he does, but he allowed it to happen.
Right.
And for really bad reasons, mostly just to get votes.
Well, of course, there's got to be money trails there. It seems to me, when it comes to political donations or party support and donations, and there's got to be some money trails there. It would seem to me. But I don't know.
Well, in A.G. Waltz or A.G. Ellison talked to some of the people in the Feeding Our Futures people that hadn't been indicted yet, and they gathered him up and they had closed off the spigot. They had stopped the money. They had stopped the money from flowing. It was a federal judge that said, "You got to stop it. Just stop it right now." And a month later, the tap was turned back on. Ellison went to a group of these people and told them and assured them that they were going to watch out for their best interests. Now, Ellison got a campaign donation, but it's $5,000. So I mean, that's not enough.
Right.
Either one of these guys is sharp enough to know that you can't take cash. And even if it's just wrinkled 20s in a paper bag, that's not going to do it. You can't do that. I mean, it's that will be found out. But I don't know. I kind of put a damper on the evening. I'm sorry. Cheer up,
There
cheer
are
up, cheer up,
ways.
folks. You don't live in Minnesota.
You know, but I think that Americans would love to see somebody actually get held accountable
Yep.
somewhere in
Yep.
this contiguous or 48 plus the 2. You know, I think so many people had an expectation that when this new administration came in, there was going to be a lot of accountability and people were actually going to be punished for their illegal activities or whatever they were. And we're really not seeing much of that at all. So that would be a big booster, I feel like, for the Patriots.
Now, there have been individuals indicted and convicted. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, 98 people have been indicted and convicted. 85 of them are Somali.
Yeah.
And they're all either in jail or are making restitution. So it's a beginning, but that's only from that one pile of the one organization, Feeding Our Futures. Nobody's been indicted for the child care thing yet. Nobody's been indicted for the abuse of the mental health thing. Starts with an A, and I forgot what the word is. See, that's why autism. Yeah, the autism scam. Now, here's the good news. It's not all Minnesota money. I mean, it's good news for me because it's Medicare, Medicaid money. You guys get to donate too.
I see.
Everybody's chipping in.
All right. Well, I'm like Debbie. I think we all are expecting that many more people to be held accountable, and that just seems to be, and especially some of the big name players here.
Yes.
But that just seems to be the way things go anymore, isn't it?
That's
Not held accountable. Not held accountable.
Be nice to change.
Yeah.
I volunteer a guy. I know his name. I know where he lives.
Do you? Okay.
Lives in St. Paul.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is some of the other people the no-namers may be getting indicted, but we want to see somebody who actually we know who they are. They have the platform. They're the one running things. They're the one that should be held accountable. And I think if we could see some of that, even with all the Epstein files that have come out, like nothing really, except for in the UK, was it Prince Andrew? I can't remember. But we weren't even the ones that did that. It was the UK that arrested him. And I'm not even sure exactly what that was about. But it would just be good to see some accountability somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep, it would be.
20 years ago when Trump came out with his television program and he fired people, I said back then, this guy is auditioning to run for president.
Whoa.
Because if you remember when Bill Clinton was president and there were like environmental spills, nobody got fired. The Branch Davidians got, killed, burned alive, 140 people, I think. Nobody was held accountable. And I think Americans, you guys have said it, we would like to see somebody held accountable. And one of the things Trump did when he said, you're fired, is he showed he was a guy who would hold people accountable. And we haven't seen as much of it as any of us would like to see. But I think that was one of the things that Trump realized is that we, the American public, think people should be held accountable when they mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Prince Andrew was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with Epstein then, right?
Well, no, he's suggested that he shared confidential documents with Epstein while he was Andrew was a trade envoy.
Okay.
So it's like a one-off. It's not has nothing to do with young girls.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with crimes below the waist. Nothing to do with any of that. It's being naughty in public office. So it's something, I guess.
All right. Gary.
So I want to talk a little bit about an unanticipated upside down future that may come about as a result of artificial intelligence. And so one of the groups of people today that have a lot of economic and likewise political power are college educated people. You know, think of the college educated women, think of Karen. Well, going forward, a lot of people that have college educations are going to see their jobs evaporate because of artificial intelligence. It's going to take them away. But on the flip side of that, there's going to be some people who benefit. And it's going to be a lot of them are going to be high school educated boys who have skills in things like plumbing, electrician, construction, carpentry, HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, those kinds of things. Because when Karen has a leak in her kitchen under the sink, AI is not going to fix that. She's going to have to call somebody that actually has hands-on skills. And I think we're already seeing this today because there are shortages of people with trades skills. And if you have to hire somebody to do something like that, you're probably paying a lot of money for it because there's great demand for people doing that. And so I think in the next 10, 20 years, one of the things we're likely to see is that both economic and to some degree political power is going to shift more to people, more blue collar people with skills away from college educated people who really don't have skills to do things that can be better done by AI.
It's funny. I saw just recently that it's possible that Facebook or Meta is looking to lay off 20% of its workforce as it seeks to offset its substantial spending on AI infrastructure. This could result in 16,000 job losses, making the company's largest layoff since 2022. So I guess I don't know how many of those are fact checkers, although I think they lost their job a long time ago. But it's interesting that a technical company like Facebook and Meta is looking to reduce their workforce by that much.
Yeah, they say a lot of computer programming can be better done by AI. It can figure out how to do it and do all that. But while they're building that AI data center, they need a lot of electricians, people with skills, iron workers, and so on to do those jobs. And so I think part of the balance of power is going to shift back more toward people with, high school educations, but who have skills in trades.
Mike Rose people.
Yeah. And if Trump's plan to have these companies start building their own electricity plants, that's going to put a lot of these blue collar workers to work as well. And it's a good idea. Why should we be supporting that? The electrical grid is already in tatters, and it's something that we should probably be looking at closer. But forcing these companies to build their own electrical supply for those AI centers is again another one of those good things coming out of Trump that nobody wants to give him credit for.
Yeah,
but see, my mommy wanted me to go get a college degree. Mommy said both myself and my brother had to get college degrees.
That's why we're still living in the basement.
That's right.
Guys our age, people our age, we probably did fine with that. But a lot of the people coming up today in their teens and 20s, they're living in a different world than we lived in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and on the downside of AI, did any of you guys see the Benjamin Netanyahu AI video with 6 fingers? He's talking, he's got 5 fingers and a thumb. I'm like, I think that's AI right there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Progress for sure.
But that is a concerning issue, though. That is true. My son works for a major insurance company, and as a matter of fact, he's in the computer, the end of the whole business. I forget what his actual title is, but they they troubleshoot and they maintain programs in support of the actual business. And he says he thinks it's just a matter of time before AI replaces his job.
Mhm.
Wow.
He's very concerned about it. He's in his mid 50s now, so he's concerned about that as well. So.
Get trained to be a disc jockey.
On the other hand,
They'll never take us.
he's got one of his sons is a senior in high school, and he's already he's utilizing AI programs, and he's already developing a business by creating websites for small businesses.
Mm.
And as a matter of fact, he was a football player, part of the state championship team, defensive player, outstanding defensive player, and their defensive coach asked him to develop a landing page for kids that want to attend their summer camp for defensive players. And he did it, and he created that.
Cool.
Senior in high school, and he is. We're all kind of concerned about him as to whether he's going to go to college, where he's going to go, or is he going to go at all? And he just doesn't seem to be really high on going to college. So I don't know what I don't know if he's kind of in this transitional period. If he's any indication of it, I don't know. But,
He's probably better off not to go to college and to continue just develop the skills that he has. People who go to college, not only, their earning power is being hurt by AI, but they're also in many cases coming out with, 5, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 or more dollars in debt.
oh yeah,
And that's a mess. You don't want him to
No.
start life with that debt.
yeah.
Yeah, not just that, but like my son graduated in cybersecurity. He's got a bachelor's in cybersecurity with IT, a lot of IT classes, and all the entry level jobs, they want 2 years of experience. He's like, well, I just graduated. How can I have 2 years of experience? So it's just this like nowhere spot where you've got the education, you haven't really gotten the experience, but they want you to have it in addition to the degree. So that's a tough place to be in.
Well,
Yeah.
Dale, is he any good with his hands? They're saying that, the average electrician and plumber is making 6 figures.
Mhm.
We have suggested that to him, but he doesn't seem to have any interest in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But eating, does he have an interest in eating?
in eating,
Of course.
Not-
Eating and putting clothes on his back, that sort of thing.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't when I was a kid. I didn't care about that. I figured, well, somebody will take care of it.
Yeah.
But I learned fast.
Your mom trained you that you just had to show up at the table and you could eat, right?
That's right. That's it. Just
As
show
long
up.
as he washed his hands before he got to the table, that was okay.
Yep. That's all
But
there
see,
is.
my mommy said you get a college degree and you won't have to worry about those things.
Different age.
Rest her soul, I tell you, that wasn't true. But anyway, different times.
Yeah.
But I Gary, that's a very interesting topic. Quite honestly, that's something probably we ought to. What are there any constitutional implications for that? Do you think?
I don't think anything comes to mind. Sometimes you might say that it's because the free market ultimately has a tremendous amount of control. I think I read something the other day that Napoleon said he was astonished more than anything else by how impotent power was to organize things.
Hmm.
And, we have tremendous amount of political power in Washington, but sometimes they can't, Washington itself is overwhelmed by the things that go on in the world, like AI. Nobody in Washington planned it. It's happening. And, who knows what all the effects are going to be.
Yeah. Interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ken. Sounds like your dog saw that rabbit again, huh?
No, that wasn't my dog.
That was my dog.
Oh, that was your dog.
It was a squirrel. Well,
It was the same squirrel or rabbit. It just
Yeah.
reached Debbie's house.
It's
in
just
time.
gone to a different neighborhood, huh?
Neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one in the kennel that's looking for supper. I thought maybe your dog heard my dog, and
All
never
right.
know.
crazy.
You never
All
know.
right. All right, Ken, what's on your mind, bud?
Well, I think we all know what's coming up here in mid-April. It's not too far away. We all dread that time of year and that date, which is just
Talking about
so
April
close.
Fool's Day?
Well, it
No.
kind of coincides with April 15th.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I see.
And we're all fools for what we participated there in April 15th, the way it looks. And based on what David has told us in Minnesota, there's proof of that. I mean, our tax dollars have gone willy-nilly into all different kinds of pockets, thanks to our elite government officials that we've so proudly put into place without giving any thought before putting them there. In most situations, that's the problem. And they are, I do consider most of them at this point, and again, most of them elite. As we talk about everything from accountability to seeing some of them, get what they deserve. I don't know whether we'll see that, but again, it's kind of intertwining with my topic, which just caught my eye in a little bit of a newspaper read. And it had to do, this goes back to COVID, obviously, if people can remember. A couple of the really large pharmaceutical companies that promised protection from all that stuff, and I won't go into names because we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube or anything. But those companies, not only did they put out an inferior product before fully testing it, but they were funded for their research and development. What I read the other day was, and obviously, I mean, there's some good on the other side of things. Apparently, they're trying to use mRNA in cancer treatments and some other things like the flu, even. And I know just recently the flu one was rejected, but I'm kind of getting off track. My point is that these companies, first of all, they had protection back in COVID days. You couldn't sue somebody. You couldn't sue these large companies if you drop dead or your spouse dropped dead from using their product, which was a red flag for me early on. I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure I want to participate with this, being that there's that early warning. I mean, it's almost like these commercials you watch on television. You take this great job, you're going to lose 25 pounds in a week. Side effects could be high heart rate, cancer, death, all the other things that are little in the fine print on the bottom. You're really rolling the dice there. But again, I digress. My point is that these companies, not only were they protected, but they were funded with our tax-paying dollars. So think about that on April 15th when you're paying Uncle Sam, that these companies have benefited from that. And the article I read said that they made over $50 billion. And so they can very much fund their own research. So why aren't they? Is because it's too easy to get the handout. And I'm kind of encouraged a little bit with Trump going with what he's done here recently, trying to lower drug prices, and he's gone after some of these companies in that sense. But I think the hammer needs to be a little harder, and I think really Trump should be hammering these companies, not only to make them a little bit more liable, but again to start using some of their own money, not mine. And that's my.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yep.
Well, you remember when we had Dr. Dan Stock on talking about the changes that were taking place with Bobby Kennedy, and and he talked about the thing that has gone on for years and years and years, and that's that people from government going into big pharma and or the big auto companies or whatever, and then coming back into government. I wonder if this has been going on with these companies as well, and if that's coming into play, you got to believe that a lot of that's happening as well.
Well, and that brings up another avenue of that, Dale. We should be keeping these guys from from becoming lobbyists too when they're all done with their run. I mean, they've already had their hand in your pockets to come out millionaires, but now they want to become lobbyists and keep the funds going.
Yeah. But you question about why is the government paying for all this, and I think there could be something there about that's just part of that transition back and forth, and why it's made easier to get money like that, to get handouts like that, I guess. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So April 15th, is that still the deadline date? They haven't changed it or anything?
No, and they haven't made any effect with daylight savings time with that either. It's just still April 15th, and you have to have it ready,
Have any of you gotten any of these huge refunds that you were supposed to be getting? Any of you?
Huge refunds. Oh, I
Well,
don't know.
I can't yet.
I'm sure you realize by now that I'm not a mathematical genius. It kind of stops with I can do math in my head as long as it's two numbers and maybe add and subtract.
Okay.
But my wife does all the taxes.
I see.
And she just went through and she said last week she said we owe $3,000, and then a couple of days later she said, oh, we only owe 120. So I think we're moving that way. I think we're getting there. So she'll take a couple more whacks at it, and but she does all the taxes.
I think they're saying small. I think they're saying small business should be seeing a good part of what you're talking about, Dale. Is
right.
Well, I thought it was individuals. I thought now obviously I think if you can't be filing a short form and expecting a huge refunds, but I thought individuals were going to start seeing some larger than normal refunds because of the changes in taxes. So I don't know.
Well, and that even brings up I was listening the other day. I forget who the expert was, but I guess somebody had called in referring their overtime and their tax on tips area, and I was surprised to find out that it's not straight across the board. There's limits, and I think you have to still report everything, but then you only get a percentage of those, and I think a lot of people are thinking they're just going to get a straight cut on that, and it's a percentage that you have to qualify for.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let me wind up this segment here with what's caught my attention, and it's a new word that I've come across. The word is geopolitical. Now that's a new word to me. I'm sure that word has been in existence for some time, but geopolitical, and I think with what's going on with what we've done in Venezuela, with what is happening in Iran, and if it goes in the right direction, and we can, in the U.S., have some control over Venezuela and Iran, the three countries together could form a new worldwide geopolitical power, because we would control I don't know the exact percentage, but a large percentage of the world's oil production. And David, you said you've sent me something that I haven't had a chance to listen to yet. But
Well, it's actually it was a printed article, and there's a woman that I've stumbled across, and she writes a blog called Beyond the Ideological, and she has insightful articles. And a number of them are about the war in Iran and what its purpose is.
mhm.
And she insists, and I just posted in our chat window here the latest article that she wrote. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know what she says in this one. But she talking about the Abraham Accords 2.0, or the next version of it. And what she's seen happen is that since 2020 and the Abraham Accords during Trump's first term, that Israel never traded with anybody else in the neighborhood. I mean, they just didn't. They didn't do. They had no relations. In 2020, they had zero trade between Saudi Arabia and UAE and Bahrain and Qatar and all the rest of these smaller countries. By 2023, the total package of trade was $3.4 billion.
Mhm.
So she insists that that's the way of the future, that this whole area is going to become one great big trading partner that will link Europe with India. I mean, talk about blowing your mind. And the thing that's in the way right now is a little country called Iran.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are holding the things back, and they're throwing bombs and drones at all of their neighbors. And it's exciting to look at and think about the possibilities.
That's right. That's right. And just think about the implications of the Venezuela, U.S. and Iran control of energy, and the implication that has on China.
Yeah, right.
I mean, China is really, and we're going to get into this some more, I think, as COS today. But China is really the ultimate, I think, the ultimate head of the snake, I believe. So,
and they're dying on the vine. Their people are old. Their economy is falling apart. They can't consume their way out of this, and the individuals, they have no workers, and they're getting older and older and older by the minute.
Well, and they're heavily dependent on oil from Iran.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So I think there's the makings here. And again, I don't know if Trump had this all planned out or not.
Yeah, you don't know.
But there's the makings here of a shift in world power, quite honestly.
And slightly off that topic, but remember Tulsi Gabbard?
Oh yeah, I remember
back
her.
in the olden days. You remember her? You remember her? She was kind of and the lefties are saying she was drummed out of the core, and her epaulets were ripped off in public, and she's been destroyed, and she's nowhere. But now she's working for, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's something of the Americas. And
is she involved in the Shield of America?
Shield of Americas, yes, she is.
And
she's an envoy.
Kristi Noem is involved in that.
Kristi Noem. I'm sorry. I meant Kristi Noem. Forget
okay.
I said Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. Okay.
Kristi Noem. Yeah, Kristi Noem.
Well, that's another interesting.
Yep.
That's another interesting. I don't know what you call it. A group.
Yeah, and it happened last week. I think it was last week, maybe Thursday, maybe Wednesday, but it was 7 years to the day when the United States Embassy raised the flag in Caracas, and it hadn't been there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Beginning. That's the beginning. I mean, it's just there's all kinds of really, really great, interesting things that could possibly happen in our hemisphere and in the rest of the world.
You just think though, this Shield of America, this coalition of countries, if they could get Mexico to participate in this,
Yeah.
but if all these countries could band together militarily to fight the cartels,
Yeah.
and just think of the impact on the drug traffic that would have for our country.
Yeah. Right.
I tell you, it's there's some very interesting, I don't know, coalitions or whatever you want to call them, that and maybe it's conspiracy theory, but it just seems to me like there's some things brewing out there that could change our world if they come to fruition. All right. Well, we're out of time for this segment. Guys, once again, very, very interesting. So I want to thank you for participating. And I don't want you to go away because I'm very shortly going to bring you all back. And we're going to talk about our national debt when it comes to a new segment we're introducing this evening called the COS Perspective. So don't go away, okay?
Okay.
Now, if I can just get everybody back into the lobby there. All right. All right. Another good segment, Kim.
I'd say so, Dale.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, we've got we've got a couple of Dave's Daily Dose. And I might mention that Dave is that is Dave Punt, one of our guests this evening. So he's really getting a lot of attention tonight. I don't know. I hope that doesn't go to his head, but we'll find out here very shortly, I think.
We sure will.
Okay. But let's, we got a couple of Dave's Daily Dose. So let's play one right now, and we'll get ready to get started on our next new segment, the COS Perspective. So let's see what Dave's got for us here.
What to do about a lefty loony mainstream Democrat media who hates Donald Trump so much they'd turn their back on their own country and on just about every Democrat who knew how to spell Iran? All of them, according to John Fetterman in a recent CNN interview, said as much. Why would all those media pinheads directly disagree with all those Democrats? Why? This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. The answer is TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. I think a shrink in California recently said he was making a small fortune diagnosing and treating the disease, but not all that successfully getting cures. Anybody heard about the incredibly long war lately? One that will certainly not end for years and end up costing thousands and thousands of young American lives and spend trillions of dollars in American treasure? Anybody? I even saw a short story recently that someone in Trump's team has been talking about bringing back the draft because so many American warriors needed replacing. Fetterman was talking to Caitlin Collins on CNN. She wanted him to boldly strike back against the president and his Secretary of War, challenge them directly on the wisdom of taking on such an impressive and freedom-loving country. The insistence of the massive major media of late is that each and every one of us gets down on our knees and apologizes for striking a building filled with nothing but little girls. No mention of Monica Bill Clinton's bombing years ago that wiped out an aspirin factory and killed a handful of janitors. No mention of all the folks killed in Benghazi when they tried to take over the embassy annex. No mention of the 4 Americans, including the ambassador. No mention of the thousands of folks in Libya wiped out during Obama's 8-month war without authorization from Congress or anybody. Just all the evil, nasty things that Mr. Trump has done personally to harm the fine folks now running the country of Iran. Speaking of Libya, the price of oil, according to one guy with a better memory than mine, said the price of oil jumped to over $120 a barrel then, and nobody made a peep. Now we're hovering around 100 and everybody's losing it. Fetterman also mentioned in his chat with CNN that everybody in the White House with a D behind their name has said loudly and proudly Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. No way. Iran's nuclear ambitions must come to a halt. Obama and Biden even sent them shrink-wrapped pallets of wrinkled 20s to get them to stop. They didn't, until now. And the loony, lefty, deranged Democrat media is going nuts. Whose side are they on, anyway? I'm David Allen Punt.
Yeah, you're muted, Dale. You're muted, so we'll just have to.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, we'll have to bring that guy David in to explain that a little further.
Yeah,
I think
he's got a lot to say. I tell you, he's got a lot to explain tonight.
he gets us going down all kinds of avenues. It's just interesting.
Okay, well, let's get started on our next segment. This is a new segment called the COS Perspective. And the COS Perspective, I won't go into any details on that right now, but it's comprised of the three pillars of our resolution, as well as the core values of our organization, Convention of States. And we're going to be talking about specifically one of the pillars tonight, and that's the national debt, where we want, in a Convention of States, we would want to see amendments proposed that would address the national debt. So we're going to talk about the national debt tonight in various ways. So let me bring the panel back on, Ken, and here's Mr. Gary Harbaugh, Debbie Stewart, and there's Dave's Daily Dose, Mr. David Punt. So
Welcome back.
Yeah.
It's gone to my head, Dale.
It has it.
It's too late. It's too late.
Well, we're gonna play another one tonight. We've got another one lined up here.
Oh, it's going to be worse. Oh no.
So the next one that we're going to be playing, let me see. A Bright Mideast Future. Now that's that'll be great.
And that talks about the what I was hoping you would talk about, that there's a possibility that the writer of Beyond the Ideological, Zeneb Branua is her name, or Branua, something like that. And that's kind of the core of it. But okay, good. Yeah. That's a good one.
All right. Well,
not that they all aren't.
Of course they all are. Yes.
But stay tuned for that one. That one's going to be really good. Yeah.
So we're going to be talking tonight. We want to talk about the national debt, and specifically with regard to our national debt. By the way, what is it now? I know you someone looked it up at the debt clock. 38.
Yeah, it's going right now. Go ahead.
38,931,964.
38.9, huh?
Yep,
Trillion.
38.9.
All right. So specifically the topic tonight with regard to the national debt is this question: are we at the breaking point? What is the breaking point, and are we near it? So I've got a couple charts here that I want to throw up. I want to see if you all agree with this, and if not, what your opinion is. But let me throw up this first chart here. Okay, you all see this? Okay, we got the QR code messing us up here, Ken.
Yeah, we'll have to get rid of that.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Well, I'll tell you, that's good. Anyway, this chart shows. Let me get the chart back up there. This chart shows that the trajectory, assuming the continued trajectory of our national debt, which is the major blue line here, goes up and up and up. And what you can't see here due to the QR code is that it hits the point, the breaking point is in 2047. And in 2047, our national debt, given the same trajectory here, will be $85 trillion. $85 trillion. And the interest on that 85 trillion, which is depicted by the gold line down here at the bottom, will be 3.5 trillion will be the interest. Now,
What's the source on this chart, Dale? You know?
I don't know. This is AI driven.
Okay. Just curious.
I may be exposing my mathematical ignorancy, but shouldn't the interest go up at the same rate?
Well, yes. Well, it is. It does show it going up slightly here, but
Very little.
yeah, you would think that it would be going up at the same rate, but or the trajectory would be the same. But let me show this other chart here that I have. Okay, so here's why this is saying we're going to be at the breaking point right now. Given we're already, the interest expense is already in excess of I think it's Medicare, or it's going to exceed Medicare, I should say, in 2029, the interest expense. By 2047, it will be the largest expense. And so what this is saying is that's the breaking point. That's the point at which our we're paying interest on our debt, and that's the largest expense in our budget. So what do you all think about that? Do you agree with that?
I think it comes sooner. I think that's the 2047, way too far in advance. I think the cliff comes a lot sooner than that.
You think so, huh?
Personal
Yeah.
opinion.
And but that doesn't really doesn't talk about the cliff. That just says that's the point where the interest on the debt will be the highest, most expensive thing that we have to pay for.
Right.
I think that we could probably go on another 10, 15 years.
Well, and
I mean, it depends upon the gross the GDP. I mean, and the percentage of the GDP but the other stuff that's going to go away because we can no longer afford to pay for that. Now, national defense, I would assume, is never going to go away, but I don't know that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. That's my
sorry.
diatribe for that.
Go ahead, Deb.
I was just going to say, in 2016, the national debt was around 2019 to 20 million or billion or trillion. I'm sorry. It's doubled in 10 years. So basically, it's almost doubled, from 19 or 20 to 38, which almost 39. By the time I go to bed at night, it'll be 39 trillion. And then you're saying 20 years to get to 85, which is a little over double. I feel like it's going to, like Ken said, it's going to happen a lot quicker when we get to that amount. Now, I'm not saying that's the breaking point again, but I'm just saying the amount you had around 87 trillion in 2047. I think that's too conservative.
Is that somebody's clock going
Alarm
off?
clock going off.
Oh,
I think if we don't, again, that's a projection. It's Gary. I think that's a projection. And if we don't start paying it down and start making some corrections now, it'll come a lot sooner. That's just my thoughts on it.
I'm gonna throw this back up here. Yeah, that you would think that it's going to come a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that it's bad news for 60% of us, but I'm going to be 80 in May. Dale, you've already passed that threshold. Gary, you're probably getting close to 70, 75, right in there, right? Okay. Ken, you've got years and years and years to go, but we're all getting on. So in 20 years, chances are somebody else will be hosting the program.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. The baby boomer generation starts in 1964. So as soon as the vast majority of that group turns 85 or 90, they'll be gone, along with all their Medicare expense, all their Medicaid expense, all their Social Security expense, all of that. The biggest segment of that's driving the national debt is entitlements. And we get about 30% of it. So that's going to help. So I think projections like this, I don't know if they take that into account. That a bunch of us, and then now I hope nobody gets my Social Security checks. I've told them, I said, don't be giving it to somebody else. You guys get to keep it. So I mean, I think that what's 20 years from now, we'll all be 100, and that's 20 years from 20. That's 1946. So that's 1 year before 1947.
Yeah.
2046.
Don't go backwards, David. Don't go backwards.
No, don't just. It's math in my head. That's it.
Yeah, 1946. 1946 is going to make us. It's going some of us non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. And the other question, I picked up a book today. I was driving around, and I found a book online called "In Defense of Public Debt," and it's an interesting exposition on how public debt has been used over the years, over the generations, over the thousands of years, and it goes back to the times of the Romans and the Greeks. That public debt has been governments and countries have been borrowing from other governments and countries forever and ever and ever, and it continues to go on and on and on. And most of the time, it's to build up a military, or build up a dock, or build a railroad, or build a whole set of highways, or some sort of infrastructure that will make life better. I mean, the infrastructure stuff is still there. So, and that's the point of the book, is that public debt is a necessary evil for the way that we do things, but that's the best way that we can do these things. So,
well, taking into consideration our COS perspective, let me throw this question towards our state director, Gary. What kind of amendment? What kind of amendment, or what do you think would be put in an amendment to start? In other words, let's think real positive. So by 2027, when we're holding our convention of states, what would the amendment look like to start reining in government fiscally wise?
I think that the essence of what has to be put in place is limiting the spending to a percentage of the prior year's GDP.
Right.
Now, you guys, in our lifetime, and maybe a little longer, going back to say 1940, 85 years, the highest tax rate in the United States has varied from 90% down to, I think it's 28.4% or something now. And income tax rates have varied all over the place. But the federal government has typically collected between 16 and 18% of GDP, irrespective of the tax rates. So when tax rates are really high, and like during World War II, they had extra taxes, it got up to near 20%. When the economy went into the what we call the Great Recession, 2008, 9, 10, total tax revenue fell to right around 15% of GDP. But in normal times, it's been between 16 and 18% of GDP, irrespective of what the tax rate is. And so the thing that would probably make most sense is to say, we're going to limit what government can spend to, say, 16% of GDP until we get the debt down to a more manageable level, or 17%, whatever it might be. But government has to have limits. Otherwise, they just spend whatever they want to spend. And that's what's going on is now there's no limit to spending. And so, it's the guns and butter where you can have as much of each as you can get people to vote for. And you scratch my back, vote for my bill, I'll scratch your back and vote for your bill. And spending is just completely out of control. And so that's why it makes sense to have a limit, I think, as a percentage of GDP, so that spending can't be wildly out of touch with what the tax revenues are actually collectible.
Okay, fourth quarter 2025 GDP was $31.442 trillion. So, and then there's 4 quarters in a year. So that 31 times 4 is 120 something.
124.
124. Okay, 120. Wow, you're good. 124. So a yearly GDP estimate would be 124 trillion. And right now we owe 37 trillion, 38 trillion. So roughly we're at 25% of GDP. How's my math?
Well,
that makes sense?
No, the accumulated debt is already about double GDP. I think that 31 trillion was annualized. If you annualized the economy at the fourth quarter rate, it would be about 31 trillion. And
so we're already upside down.
Yeah,
our
debt's
we're well outside of.
So we're already up underwater.
The debt already exceeds GDP by, I don't know, it's around 130% or something. I think I'd have to figure out the math, but there is the United States is not the only country that's in this problem. Right now, worldwide, the debt exceeds 100% of global GDP. So, and one of the studies of economics going back a long time, it's well documented that when the debt of a nation exceeds its GDP, it's greater than its GDP, one of the effects of that is it slows down the ability of the economy to grow in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a drag on the economy to have this much debt. And so really, if we put a limit on spending, I think it's been pointed out that if they had just locked in spending at the 2020 level, so we're not going to spend any more money year after year, we'd about wipe out the deficit, not the debt, but the deficit, because as the economy grows and we keep spending the same, we'll take care of that problem. But we can never keep spending the same because, well, for one thing, entitlements, as David mentioned, entitlements, the growth of them is locked into law. And unless you change the law, you can't limit that spending.
Now,
So-
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say there are what I call there's effects from debt. There are obvious effects like higher interest payments that we have to pay on the accumulated debt. There's causes pressure toward raising taxes, even though raising taxes doesn't necessarily produce any more revenue. And it kind of limits the government's ability to deal with emergencies like a war. So those are kind of obvious effects. There's some less obvious effects, like it's slowing down economic growth. Most people aren't really aware how that works, but it's well documented. High debt increases the risk of inflation, the risk of credit downgrades, which has already happened in the United States. It risks crowding out private sector investments because the money that's being saved is going to government. Give the money to the government, not investing in businesses that can grow. And it also tends to create capital flight because people look for countries that aren't in as much debt, maybe, in order to do investments for future growth. And then there are some unintended effects, which in a way, all of the bad effects of too much debt are unintended. but in some ways, maybe it would be better to say they're just less obvious. And things like generational or social conflict. So young people feel like, and for good reason, hey, we've been robbed. We're being handed this enormous debt, and our parents and grandparents benefited from this spending, and that's just not fair. Another thing about debt's kind of, in a way, it corresponds with wars. And so the fact that a country can borrow a lot of money means it's more likely to get involved in wars because, hey, you got a way you can, pay for it. And also debt, because debt involves the creation of new money. It has creates greater wealth inequality, and that creates its own types of social conflict.
Do you think that would work? Putting a specific dollar amount and saying no more than this percentage?
I think the percentage is the only thing that probably really can work.
Would 38 states approve it?
I think they probably would. I think there's a very widespread belief that the debt is a bad thing, that this excessive amount of debt that we have is a bad thing. And one of the big challenges is that about half the people in our country don't really pay any income taxes or negligible amount of income tax, but they're still affected by the payroll tax and all the indirect taxes that are collected. And I think most people just understand debt is a bad thing. And I think we could convince 38 states to put limits on what the federal government would spend, recognizing that changing tax rates really is probably unlikely to ever get much more than 18% of GDP as tax revenue. So you just can't go on spending 25% of GDP year after year and think you're ever going to solve the problem.
Gary, do you think a flat tax, if it could ever be brought about, do you think a flat tax would help?
A flat tax would be a beneficial thing in some ways, but the problem has never been the absence of tax revenue. It's been the excess of spending.
Yeah.
And that's
all
why
about
we have to limit spending. Where you get the tax money from in some ways matters, but even countries that have other taxing systems, the value added tax in European countries, for example, I think they're still stuck around that 16, 18% of GDP tends to be where the tax revenue maxes out. It's hard to get a whole lot more than that. And one of the realities is back in World War II era, we had 90% maximum tax rate. Economists soon figured out that when tax rates exceed 50%, or even when they start approaching 50%, then for smart people, it's more advantageous to figure out ways to avoid being taxed on a dollar than it is to earn another dollar.
Exactly.
And so economic activity tends to shift from growing things, producing things, into tax avoidance. And tax avoidance doesn't really benefit the country as a whole.
All right. Well, one of the things that prompted me to have us talk about this topic was the Supreme Court decision that came out regarding tariffs. Now, that was hot news at the time. And of course, then shortly after that came out, then we went into Iran, and that's occupied all the news headlines since. But I've got a little PowerPoint here that I put together about tariffs. And I'm going to propose here that tariffs could play a very, very significant role in addressing our debt issue over time. Let me go through this. I'll just go briefly through this PowerPoint, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. All right, hold on here. Okay, can we all see that all right? Okay, the tariff, there are four. When I'm talking about the tariff program, because the thing is, when you hear the word tariffs, everybody immediately thinks, oh, that's a tax and that's going to raise prices. Well, there's much more to this program that I think the American public doesn't understand, and it's going to take time for it to have an effect if it all comes about. But anyway, there are four core objectives in the tariff program. Okay, and the first one is to protect strategic U.S. industries. Okay, and that's very important. You hear about this a lot, but you talk about shielding certain industries in our country, maintaining national economic security, critical supply chains. That's all very, very important. And that's all part of this tariff program that Trump is applying. Number two, the leverage that it gives in trade negotiations, obviously, and we see that take place, and we are aware of a lot of the unfair tariff charges with various countries that we had. So, pushing for reciprocal trade relationships, renegotiating trade agreements. So that's all another use of tariffs. Okay. Number three, encouraging domestic production. Now, this is very important. If you all remember, most of us were old enough to remember Perot, Ross Perot. Remember his famous saying about the sucking sound from Mexico taking jobs out of this country to Mexico. Well, and that has happened over the decades. So the tariff, one of the objectives here of the tariff program is to bring that production back to this country. And you've heard Trump talking about something like $18 trillion promised on returning production to this country. Now, that's something that's going to take some time for us to see this, but this is all part of the tariff program, and certainly bringing that production, more and more those jobs and that production back to this country would make a big difference. Okay, and finally, generating revenue, and that's one of all these things combined together would generate additional revenue. And I do believe that in time that this could play, the tariff program could play a significant role in addressing our debt, and if given time for it to develop to its fullest extent. So what do you think about that?
Dale, let me throw up a viewer comment on that because I think he agrees with you.
We have a viewer that agrees with me. Oh, David Nally. All right.
He said all tariffs should go to the debt, no increase in other programs.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think this? You think that this could be a significant impact on our debt?
I think Dave has got it right. He's got the handle on it. If it's just thrown into the pot and used for all kinds of other stuff, it's going to increase the pie. And I live in a state that 2-3 years ago we had an $18 billion surplus. Taxpayers had paid $18 billion too much.
Yeah.
Now a normal person would say, well, I guess the taxpayers should get it back, wouldn't they? And at first, that was the first suggestion, but they were going to give it back to all taxpayers. We got $300, and the rest of it has grown government. grown and grown and grown, and we're spending more. And by next year, we'll have a $6 billion deficit because we've spent money on things that cost money, and not just fraud. I mean, but it's inventive, and certain politicians see all that extra money and say, oh, I don't care where it comes from. I'm going to spend it. I got votes to buy.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I think the whole idea of tariffs is a good idea. And the things you pointed out about the benefits of it are very, very real. But as David has mentioned, unless you figure out a way to limit what government can spend, I don't care how much money you get to come in or where it comes from. Politicians love to spend money because they buy favors and they buy votes. And, I mean, it's just.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
No doubt about that. Debbie, I know Debbie had, do you want to talk about your list of taxes?
Well, I just thought that most people don't see them all in one spot. It's really an eye-opening thing. It kind of makes you angry when you see the list.
You had to make up this list, Debbie. There couldn't be this many taxes.
Yeah, I don't have the smarts to make all that up. I'm a math teacher. I'm the opposite of David, and I don't have all the information. So that's the list of the 100 main.
I want to show you this list that Debbie gave. Can you see it?
Oh, no.
There you go.
Oh.
There's 100 of these, folks, and there's I think 3 pages of these.
Mhm.
These are all, Debbie, am I right? These are all existing taxes.
Yeah, they're all
Sure.
potential taxes. Maybe not every state has every tax, but I would say the majority of them are hitting us. The hunting license, the bike license for some states, the state park permits, nature trail permit, plastic surgery surcharge. I mean, some of this stuff is crazy. Oh, I got to get my passport. I want to go see my sister in Canada. I'm going to pay taxes on that. There's just everything. It's crazy. When you go to the airport, all the airport charges and that just blew me away, because I was like, these are all hidden in a lot of things too. Like, you don't always see them, right?
Wow.
I know Gary did when I looked at this list, Debbie, when you first sent this to me, I thought, oh, she's made these up.
Yeah, I know.
There couldn't be this many.
Yeah.
Isn't that's unbelievable?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So the thing is that, the founding fathers they believed in low taxes. They believed in growing the economy. They said cut government spending, keep government small, taxes are low, enable the economy to grow. But I think my husband and I were talking about this on the way to our small group yesterday, and I was like, spending versus growing the economy. And he was the one that brought up, we really shifted the mindset of the founding fathers was, we don't want to leave any debt. It's not biblical. God says you're a slave, the borrower is a slave to the lender. These guys were all probably Christians. They all believed in the founding principles of the Bible enough to put them all in the Constitution. They're not in the Constitution, but the principles are there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no verses in there. And so now we've shifted to, I am my provider. It's up to me the government is my provider. And I don't care if my grandchildren are going to pay all this money later. And it's very indicative when you look at people's personal spending. How many people just buy stuff on credit all the time? I was raised on a farm. You waited till you had the money and then you bought it. And if it took you 2 years to save your money to buy the thing you wanted, you waited the 2 years. Now, Kmart had where you could put some money down and they would hold it for you, or whatever they called that. I remember, it's so long ago. But so I feel like our government, the way people think, has shifted so far from that culture. That's why it's so difficult for us to pull back on the spending, because we're like, why? Why pull back?
Yep.
Who cares?
Yeah, it really requires a major shift in our culture to go back to be a more frugal culture that says People should take care of themselves. People should save. And I think there is a generational shift. A lot of young people, I think, are less inclined to incur debt. But as you point out, there's 100 different types of taxes, and you need to start eliminating those taxes one by one, because most of them are really hidden. You don't really think about the fact that when you buy a set of tires, there's that federal excise tax on tires, and if people who drink or buy any alcoholic beverage, there's excise tax on that, and there are so many taxes embedded in everything that it's kind of mind-boggling. The payroll tax is embedded in the cost of everything you buy, and it's not hidden. It's not visible, so you don't think about it, but it's there. It's part of everything.
Gary, I think you did a presentation not too long ago that involved taxes, and some of the numbers that you gave out were really amazing. That the amount of taxes that we all pay over the course of a year that are so embedded that I think I remember you saying something like $15,000 or something the average person pays in taxes throughout the year. Just not payroll taxes. I'm talking about gasoline, food, all things of that nature that we buy something and we just expect that there's a tax charged on that, and we just gladly pay that, so
it's almost like we're approaching the socialistic countries where they're 50-60% taxed. And we're getting there because a lot of ours are hidden anyways. But there is a proposed bill in Congress called the Identifying and Eliminating Wasteful Programs Act. It hasn't been passed, but it's where each federal agency has to identify unnecessary programs. They're supposed to come up with a list every year and submit it annually about and so it is on the docket, like but it hasn't been passed. And I don't know if it's just being thrown around and nobody wants to do it. I'm not really sure, but
Our friend David has another comment. I'd like the panel to comment on this. David says again, those are a direct result of misinterpretation of the proper and necessary clause.
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good.
Meg, I have a short story, and give you an idea of who we're fighting against when we talk about getting rid of some of these taxes. Back in 2008, I decided I would be somebody, and I would help run the world, and I put my name out there and bought billboards and all the rest of it. There's a guy I played basketball with in church league, and his name is Butch. And Butch, through the years, had risen to the post of county highway department chair. And we see Butch now and then, and here and there, and now and then, and for the most part, we see eye to eye and bad stuff. And Butch is not exactly a flaming conservative, but pretty close. So one of my platforms was, we're going to cut the gas tax. And Butch came unglued. Butch sent me a two-page single-space letter on why it was a terrible idea to cut the gas tax.
That's going to affect his job, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And so for every Butch out there, there's got to be another Al or Seymour or Peggy or somebody attached to all those taxes that will tell you exactly why we can't live without them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think everybody would agree that roads are a necessary thing that government does, and having a tax that's dedicated to that's one thing, but having a universal service charge added to your phone bill so that they can give Obama phones to people to maintain their drug business or whatever, that shouldn't be done.
There's a Butch out there that will defend that.
yeah.
There are, no doubt.
I know it. I just know there is.
Yeah.
There are people who will defend every single dollar of spending because they benefit from it.
Absolutely.
And the news media will find some person who's being injured by any spending cut that you propose,
Mhm.
and they'll cry on TV, and everybody will feel
Oh.
sorry for them.
It'll be pitiful. It'll be just sad. Just sad.
All right, all right. Well, we got our time's up here. We got to wind up this segment. I think this has been very good. The COS perspective, and let's just. I know we touched on this earlier, but let's just kind of wrap it up here as to from the standpoint of Convention of States, we want to see, and Gary, I think you summed it up in one earlier in this segment, and say it again. I think we are right on target as to what we want to see in Convention of States with regard to proposing an amendment regarding the national debt. And what was it that you said?
We would put a limit on what the federal government can spend on an annual basis.
All right.
Limits on spending.
Yes.
And it can be in the form of one amendment or a number of different amendments. But again, these would be proposed amendments from a convention of states. So
Your credit card company already does that to each and every one of us.
that is true. You know, you speak of credit card. I'm gonna. I remember. I used to watch Johnny Carson back in the day, and he had an elderly lady on his show one evening. I can't remember why she was on his show, but I can remember her sitting in the chair next to his desk, you know, how he would talk to a guest. And I remember him asking her, and she was a very elderly lady, and he asked her what was the worst thing that she had seen happen in her lifetime in this country. And she said, the invention of the credit card. And when she said that, the whole audience said, "Ooh, yeah." I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And so I think there's a lot that can be said for that.
Boy, could we use another Johnny Carson.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Debbie, yeah, I remember a Charlie Kirk piece about how America was founded on Christian principles, and I put up the link in the chat window.
Good.
We don't have to talk about it, and it's absolutely stunning. You'll want to watch it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I've seen it a half dozen times. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, you know that from the time our country was founded till Clinton was president, about 220 years, our total debt was $5 trillion.
Yeah,
And in 2025 alone, we did $5 trillion.
Yeah.
So we've lost our way. Our, stupid brain is what we're doing, where we're just spending whatever we want to spend. And we're not thinking about, as Michael Farrow says, our posterity, our kids down the road and our grandkids, how's this going to affect us? And that is not the right way to live. That's not what a righteous person does.
Nope.
So.
All right, guys. I want to thank you very much for participating in our first COS Perspective segment, and I think we'll be doing more of these. So look forward to having more of them. So once again, Debbie, David, Gary, thank you very much for participating.
Thank you.
Glad to help. Glad to
Guys.
help out.
Love it.
All right, Ken. And thank you for participating as well, Ken. I didn't want to leave you.
Yeah.
But-
I'm expected to do so, right? That's part of it.
That's
so
right.
okay.
That's right.
Yeah. No,
That's
we had
right.
fun. We had fun, and I believe we've got a little bit more to go.
Yeah, and I'm already thinking of some topics for another COS Perspective. I like these. I like these kinds of segments. I think they're very good. Well, we promised everybody that there would be another Dave's Daily Dose. So, Ken, let's bring this one on. And this one is entitled A Bright Mideast Future. So let's see what Dave has to say here.
Okay.
As As is always the case, there could be more than meets the eye in the midst of the falling bombs. Is it possible that the Ayatollah's kid could be easier to work with than Dad was? Is there a deal to be made? Donnie J has not indicated thus so far, but others are thinking outside the box. One of them, Zeneb Rabua, writer for the blog Beyond the Ideological. She suggests that perhaps we should look at the entire region, long term, after the bombs stop falling, after people stop killing each other. Who knows? That could happen. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. Call me a cockeyed optimist with his head buried deeply in his armpit, but could it happen? Could there be a time when the people of the Middle East would no longer wait for the next opportunity to blow something up? What would cause such a momentous shift in fortunes to occur? Self-interest? A better life for the kids? As Trump said last year at the Saudi United States Investment Forum in Riyadh, I want to make a deal with Iran. True, that offer seems to be off the table for the time being, but the long game is not, in my humble opinion. Rabua writes in her piece, Trump's Middle East, that there could be a grander plan on the books, grander than blowing stuff up. The Islamic Republic is a major impediment in the growth and development in the region, she says. Yes, it's a real estate deal. In the background, the Abraham Accords, where Israel and key Arab states are cooperating economically. They trade? Make money together? Sure. Trade between Israel and its Abraham Accord partners in 2020, according to Rabua, was close to zero. By 2023, $3.4 billion. Not bad at all. Almost $300 million between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Of course, it's not only about money. The next important step comes down to Hamas and Gaza. The sooner Hamas can get with the program, the sooner Gaza becomes livable, and the sooner the rest of the region can begin to enjoy some prosperity. A whole line of presidents have spent their political fortunes on a Middle East too tough to deal with. Will Donald Trump be another in that long line, or will the future change? Time, very short time, will tell. I'm David Allen Punt.
Another good one from David.
I agree.
Well, one more, folks. We got John Ackerman has got on his soapbox again. So let's take a listen to him.
John Ackerman for Convention of States. I want to talk to you about oil and gas prices. Late in the evening on the last day of February, or early in the morning on the first day of March, we started bombing Iran. Immediately, the cost of a barrel of oil went up, and it's been wildly fluctuating, up, down, driving the markets crazy. Before we started this military operation, the cost of oil was about $70 a barrel. And it's been up to $100, $110, $120, and then back down to $100 and down to $90 and back up to $100, and I just can't keep track of it all. But overnight, the cost of a gallon of gasoline in the United States jumped almost a full dollar. I noticed it at the gas pump, and you did too. Do you know what? From the time a barrel of oil leaves the oil fields, goes into a tanker, chugs halfway around the world to a refinery, gets refined, and then gets shipped out to a gas station, which is where you and I get our gallons of gasoline, it takes about 45 days. I did not say 4 to 5 days. I said 45. That's 6.5 weeks. A month and a half. 45 days. Under what rationale does the cost of a gallon of gas jump up almost $1 when the cost of that barrel of oil jumps up? What sense does that make? It's going to take 45 days for that barrel of oil to get refined and shipped to my gas station. Something is going on here. Yeah, I took Econ 101 and I know all about supply and demand, but I've been reading some news reports, and the cost of oil has been mostly driven by fear. People are afraid that the supply of oil is going to get cut, and so the cost goes through the roof. But what gives big oil the right to jack up the price of a gallon of gas when that barrel of oil is going to take a month and a half to get to the gas pump? Something's going on here, folks, and I don't know what it is. But I'll tell you what, if you have $1 to invest, invest it in big oil, because that's where the money is being made.
I don't know. I think he's
Makes
right.
the things that make you go, It's a good one by John.
You know, back when I was in the trucking industry, we had fuel pumps, and we always based our price on the average cost of our fuel that we had in the ground. And that's not the way it's done anymore.
No, that's obvious. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know that the just like John said, the average cost of the fuel that we have on hand is not doesn't fluctuate that fast.
Yeah.
So anyway, who was the I got Johnny Carson on my mind tonight. Who was the comedian that took his place?
The first one to take his place?
Yeah. For goodness sakes.
That was
car collector guy. Anyway.
Yeah, he was on a couple television shows too.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna get me started.
But his I remember one of his in one of his opening monologues, he says, here's our country's put a man on the moon, but we can't determine what causes gas prices to change.
Right.
So very, very astute comment, quite honestly. All right, Ken. Let's wrap things up here this evening. Okay.
Yep.
And once again, folks, if you want to find us live, go to our YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States. So if you need to do a search for our YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States, and there you'll find our live broadcast as well as past broadcasts and other information. So that's the best way to find us.
And I will post a link. I will post a link in the chat. And the name of that replacement was Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, of course. That's right.
Jay
That's
Leno.
right.
Yeah.
I should know that. He's a car guy.
Yeah, we all should. Car guy, but yeah, even that. He was also on some shows there with the other well-known comedian that I can't think of his name either.
All right. If you have any comments or questions about our broadcast tonight, feel free to drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Ken, do we have any other comments or questions from our viewers that?
Oh, there were David was quite active tonight. He had quite a few as we went along, and we also had David Todd, who had inserted a few, all regarding our talks tonight. And basically, we're pretty much in line with what we were saying. But yeah, nothing that at this point that we need to bring up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, folks, that'll be a wrap for us tonight, and we'll let Marengo Mike close us out here, and be looking for us next Monday evening, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be doing have another program all lined up for you. So everyone, have a good evening. Ken, you enjoy your evening, bud.
We're going to try.
And we will let's let Marengo Mike close us out here, and that'll be it for tonight, folks. Thank you for tuning in.
Marengo Mike here with a reminder of the importance of this year as we continue to grow the grassroots army of volunteers and the mission of using the Constitution to fix the ills of our government. Use the QR code if you haven't signed the petition, and consider using your talents to become an active volunteer. Thank you, and God bless.